Yes, hello students. So in the previous video we discussed center of mass concept in the chapter System of Particles and Rotational Dynamics from class 11. As a continuation, today I am going to explain the remaining topics in that same chapter: moment of inertia and angular momentum, law of conservation of angular momentum, and lastly rotational motion. These are the topics remaining in this chapter. So that is, first one is moment of inertia. So moment of inertia, whenever a rigid body of mass capital M is rotating about an axis, say y dash, and let us assume that this body contains n particles, each of mass, say first particle mass m1, second particle mass m2, and third particle mass m2, and so on. Let us assume that nth particle mass is mn. Let us also assume that first particle is at a distance r1 from the axis of rotation, m3 is at a distance r3, m2 is at a distance r2, and rn is the distance of nth particle mn from the axis of rotation. According to the definition, moment of inertia of the first particle is m1 r1 square, for the second particle is m2 r2 square, and so on. For nth particle, in is equal to mn into rn square. Our total rigid body, for complete body, moment of inertia I is equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus and so on plus In, or I is equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus and so on plus mn rn square. So that implies I is equal to, so let us, for convenient, let us assume that all particles have equal mass or all particles are identical. So that is m1 is equal to m2 is equal to m3 is equal to and so on is equal to mn, that is equal to m. So that here m into r1 square plus r2 square plus and so on plus rn square. If we multiply this equation with n by n, that implies I is equal to m into n into r1 square plus r2 square plus and so on plus rn square whole divided by n. Each particle mass is m and total n particles are there in the rigid body, so that m into n gives the total mass capital M. So that we can write here I is equal to, where I is moment of inertia of the rigid body, I is equal to capital M into k square, where k square is called radius of gyration, or k can be written as k is equal to r1 square plus r2 square plus and so on plus rn square divided by n. K is radius of gyration, radius of gyration, or it is also called effective distance of the rigid body, center of mass of rigid body from the axis of rotation. And similarly, from the same body you can write it as rotational kinetic energy, rotational Ke, rotational kinetic energy. Kinetic energy of a total body, rigid body, can be written as Ke is equal to Ke1 plus Ke2 plus and so on plus Ken, or that is equal to half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square plus and so on plus half mn vn square, where v1 v2 v3 and so on vn are the velocities, linear velocities of each and every particle. So that Ke is equal to half m1 v1 can be written as r1 square omega square v1 square, because we know that in rotational motion v is equal to r omega, relation between linear velocity and angular velocity, where r is the radius. So that v1 square can be written as r1 square into omega square, v2 square can be written as r2 square say half m2 r2 square omega square plus and so on, plus half mn rn square omega square. That is equal to, omega square is common and half also, half omega square into m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus and so on, plus mn rn square. We know that m1 r1 square is I1, m2 r2 square is I2, so that half omega square into I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus and so on plus In, where I1 is the moment of inertia of the first particle, I2 is the moment of inertia of the second particle, I3 moment of inertia of the third particle and so on. So that we can write it as half into I into omega square, where I is moment of inertia of a rigid body. So this is it is moment of inertia mk square, and here kinetic energy, or this can also be written as ke is equal to half mk square into omega square. Theorems on moment of inertia. Theorems on moment of inertia. So we have two theorems. Number one is parallel axis theorem. Parallel axis theorem, first of all. So here, when a rigid body, if we know the moment of inertia of a rigid body about an axis passing through its center of mass, let us imagine that here C is the center of mass of a rigid body. And here, when we know the moment of inertia about this axis passing through the center of mass, to know the moment of inertia of the same rigid body about another axis which is parallel to the given axis. To know the moment of inertia about another axis parallel to the axis passing through the center of mass. So this entire body be divided into small particles each of mass m, and if we assume that one particle at p, then according to the statement, moment of inertia about any another axis I is equal to moment of inertia about axis passing through the center of mass plus m into x square, where m is total mass of the rigid body and x is the perpendicular distance between the two parallel axes. And second one is perpendicular axis theorem. Perpendicular axis theorem. So according to perpendicular axis theorem is applicable only for plane laminas. Plane lamina, that is whatever be the shape, but surface must be plane. Let us imagine that here two mutually perpendicular axes in the lamina, and third one which is perpendicular to both z axis, it is perpendicular to lamina also. Here also, to apply the perpendicular axis theorem, we should divide the lamina into small pieces each of mass m, and we imagine one particle p of mass m. It is at a distance y, and this is x. So therefore, according to the statement, perpendicular axis theorem can be written as Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy, where Iz is equal to moment of inertia of the lamina about z axis summation m into r square, Ix is equal to summation m into y square, moment of inertia of the plane lamina about x axis, and Iy is equal to summation m into x square, that is moment of inertia of the lamina about y axis. Some special cases for moment of inertia. First of all, let us take a a circular ring of radius capital R. Here moment of inertia depends on the distribution of mass and the distance of the particle from the axis of rotation. These two things you should remember while we are writing the formula for moment of inertia. Let us first take the circular ring, moment of inertia of the circular ring about an axis passing through the center and perpendicular to plane. mr square, moment of inertia about its own axis is mr square. Suppose moment of inertia about in this case let us take a tangent perpendicular to plane, parallel to this axis and perpendicular to plane, or by using parallel axis theorem I about tangent can be written as, so mr square by mr square is the general formula, that is about its own axis, plus according to parallel axis theorem m into perpendicular distance is r square, so therefore I is equal to 2mr square. And third one, about any diameter, moment of inertia of a circular ring about any diameter. So about this axis we know that it is mr square, and due to symmetry both all the diameters are similar, so therefore according to perpendicular axis theorem I is equal to, or Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy, where Ix is equal to Iy is equal to I because of symmetry, due to symmetry. So that is mr square is equal to 2I, or I is equal to mr square by 2. This is about diameter. And tangent parallel to diameter, about tangent parallel to diameter, so I is equal to parallel axis theorem Id plus mr square. So Id is equal to mr square by 2 plus mr square, so that is equal to 3 by 2 mr square. This is moment of inertia of a circular ring about any tangent which is parallel to diameter. And next second one is circular disc about its own axis. So it is a disc, circular disc of certain thickness. So about its own axis, that is axis passing through the center and perpendicular to plane. You can write the first one I is equal to mr square by 2, and tangent. So here if we can take the tangent, so I is equal to mr square by 2 plus mr square, that is 3 mr square. And about any diameter for circular disc, about any diameter according to parallel axis theorem, say 2I, or I is equal to mr square by 4, that is about any diameter. So like this we can discuss various shapes for the moment of inertia. And next, sphere, solid sphere. For solid sphere, this is a solid sphere of radius capital R about any diameter. Moment of inertia of a solid sphere about any diameter, 2 by 5 mr square. For hollow sphere, so I is equal to 2 by 3 mr square. And for rectangular lamina, so rectangular lamina of length L about an axis passing through the center and perpendicular to its plane. The length of the lamina is assumed as L, and breadth is assumed as B. So in this case I is equal to m by 12 into L square plus B square. And next one, thin uniform rod about an axis passing through the center and perpendicular to its length. About an axis passing through the center of mass and perpendicular to length. So I is equal to ml square by 12. I is equal to ml square by 12. This is, suppose if the axis is passing at one end, if axis is passing at one end, then moment of inertia, in this case moment of inertia of within uniform rod, I is equal to ml square by 3. I is equal to ml square by 3. So these are the some cases for moment of inertia, different shapes. Not only this, so lot of formulas we have. So you please go through all the formulas before you try to solve the questions. Formulas are very, very important to solve the numerical questions in physics. Angular momentum L and torque. So for angular momentum is defined as moment of linear momentum, or this can be written as MVR. But we know that V is equal to R omega. So therefore L is equal to M into R omega into R, that is M R square omega. And mr square is known as moment of inertia. So therefore L can also be written as L is equal to I omega. L is equal to I omega. According to, in translational motion, we have a formula F is equal to dp by dt according to Newton's second law. So here also we can write it as torque. Torque is equal to dl by dt, or tau is equal to d by dt of I omega. I constant until mass distribution or axis does not change. So that we can write I into d omega by dt. d omega by dt is alpha. So that implies torque tau can also be written as I into alpha, where I moment of inertia, alpha is the angular acceleration. Alpha is equal to angular acceleration. Omega is angular velocity, d theta by dt. Theta is angular displacement. And law of conservation of angular momentum. Law of conservation of angular momentum. Law of conservation of angular momentum. When an external torque acting on the system is 0, that is, if external torque acting on the system is 0, then the net angular momentum remains constant. This is the statement. From tau is equal to dl by dt is equal to 0, if torque is equal to 0, then dl is equal to 0, or change in angular momentum is 0, or L2 is equal to L1. That is, initial angular momentum is equal to final angular momentum. Or we can write it as here, I1 omega 1 L1 is equal to L2 can be written as I2 omega 2. Or I1 omega 1 can also be written as 2 pi n1, where n1 is the number of rotations per second or frequency, is equal to I2 into 2 pi n2. Both sides 2 pi cancel. So I1 n1 is equal to I2 n2 in terms of number of revolutions made per second. Or omega can also be written as 2 pi by t1 in terms of time period, that is equal to I2 into 2 pi by t2. Both sides 2 pi cancel. So I1 divided by I2 is equal to T1 divided by T2. So these are the various forms for law of conservation of angular momentum. Next topic is rolling motion. When a body rolls on a horizontal surface without horizontal plane, without slipping or without skipping. So here rolling motion is nothing but it is a rolling is equal to rotation So this is rotation plus translation. Rotation plus translation. So rolling motion is nothing but pure rolling motion is equal to pure rotation plus pure translation. So that is when a body is rolling on a horizontal plane, kinetic energy of a rolling body. Remember here small r stands for rolling and I am writing capital R for rotation. So translational Ke plus rotational Ke. We know that translational Ke is equal to mv square plus rotational Ke we discussed in this session half I omega square. Again I is equal to, so half mv square plus half I is equal to mk square into omega square. Again from V is equal to R omega. So omega can be written as V divided by R. So that half m V square plus half m k square into V square by R square. In both the terms, if half m V square is taken as common, remaining term 1 plus R square, 1 plus k square divided by R square. This is the formula for kinetic energy of a rolling body on a plane surface. Suppose the second one here, if a body rolls on an inclined plane of an angle theta. Here a body is rolling from certain height, say h, and inclination is theta. In this case acceleration of a body, in this case g sin theta divided by 1 plus k square by r square, and velocity before it reaches to the bottom, velocity is equal to square root of 2gh by 1 plus k square by r square. So now I am going to start the numerical questions. First question, read all of you along with me. A wheel of mass 4 kg and radius of gyration 0.4 meter is making 300 rpm rotations per minute. Its moment of inertia is independent of angular velocity, so that omega is not required here. Mass and radius only, radius of gyration we should consider. So first question, I is equal to mk square, that is 4 into 0.4 into 0.4, that is equal to 0.64 kg meter square. Next, second question, a force F bar is acting on a particle of position vector r bar. The torque will be, so torque tau bar can be written as r bar cross F bar. So here for the first question, option B is the right option, and for the second question, option A is the right option. Next, see the third question. A light rod AB of length 2L is acted upon by two forces at their ends as shown in the given figures. These two forces have the same magnitude, in which case the rod is in rotational equilibrium. Observe the diagrams. Two diagrams are given in the question. The first case, this is two forces are acting in the same direction in the given diagram. So that is here A and this end is B. This is the first diagram. And in case of second diagram, say forces are given. This is one force and here is another force. Two forces are given here. These are the two diagrams. Second diagram is given. And here in the first diagram, See, forces are acting, this is in one direction and this is in another direction. One clockwise direction, one anti-clockwise direction. So that torques are acting in opposite directions in the first cancel to each other. Torques are acting in opposite direction, cancel to each other. So there is no rotational motion. There is no rotational motion in the first diagram. Whereas in case of second diagram, see, this is acting in anti-clockwise direction and this is acting in clockwise. One is both are acting in the anti-clockwise direction. So add up here tau 1 plus tau 2 resultant. Here tau 1 and tau 2 are in opposite direction. Both here tau 1 is equal to tau 2. So therefore our option is first diagram. In case of first diagram, there is no. So as for the options, option D is the right option. Option D is given 1 only. So diagram 1 only, in which case the rod is in rotational equilibrium. So in the first diagram, the rod is in equilibrium because here net torque 0, here net torque, some torque is acting here, so that this is in rotational motion. Diagram 2, first diagram is not in rotational motion. Next, fourth question. 4 particles each of mass 1 kg are placed at the corners of a square OABC of side 1 meter. O is at the origin of the coordinate system. OA and OC are aligned along positive x-axis and positive y-axis respectively. What is the position vector of their center of mass? See, in the question number 4, fourth question, first of all, whenever possibility is there, a chance is there, better you draw a diagram for the situation. If we able to draw a diagram, the question is turned into representation. So representation, as for the question, one particle is at origin and A is given on x-axis, C is given on y-axis, and automatically it is square. So B we can take in the xy plane. This is a square of each side 1 meter. Square of each side 1 meter is given in the question. And what is the position vector of center of mass? Say center of mass, it is a symmetrical shape, so that center of mass is nothing but intersection of, point of intersection of diagonals is the center of mass for this square. So that this center of mass is exactly located at half meter from y-axis and half meter from x-axis. So therefore RCM bar, position vector of center of mass, is equal to, say, R1 bar into I cap plus R2 into j cap. R1, or you can write this as x into I cap plus y into j cap. Here x is equal to 1 by 2, y also equal to 1 by 2. So therefore 1 by 2 into I cap plus 1 by 2 into j cap. This is the answer. That is for fourth question. Option D is the right option. Option D. Next, question number 5. 3 point masses M1, M2 and M3 are located at the vertices of an equilateral triangle having each side of length capital L. The moment of inertia of the system about an axis along an altitude of the triangle passing through M1 is given by. Solution for the fifth question. So as for the question, a equilateral triangle of each side L is given, and at 3 corners, at one corner M1 mass, at another corner M2 mass, at third corner say M3 mass are placed. When the axis of rotation is passing through M1, one corner, passing through one corner, then this axis divides this side L by 2, L by 2 because each side is given L. Now m1 is on the axis of rotation, so that total moment of inertia, first of all you can write it as I is equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3. I is equal to m1 r1 square plus I2 m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square, that is equal to m1 into 0 plus m2 into L by 2 whole square plus m3 into L by 2 whole square, that is equal to 0 plus, so m2 L square by 4 plus m3 L square by 4, or that is equal to L square by 4 you can take it as common, so therefore m2 plus m3 into L square by 4. This is the moment of inertia of the equilateral triangle. So as for the options, option 4, that is D, option D is the right option. Next, question number 6. The moment of inertia of a circular disc of radius 2 meters and mass 1 kg about an axis passing through the center of mass but perpendicular to the plane of the disc is 2 kg meter square. Its moment of inertia about an axis parallel to this axis but passing through the edge of the disc is. So in this question, a moment of inertia of a circular disc, question number 6. Observe the diagram. Diagram is given in the question. First diagram, axis passing through the center and perpendicular to the plane, and second diagram is given. Now we want to find out the tangent parallel to given axis. This is the diagram. So in case of a circular ring, we discussed already, so that I can write directly. So m r square, this is about this axis. Say here, as for the question, xy, so I xy is equal to mr square, and its moment of inertia about an axis parallel to this axis but passing through the edge of the disc is, according to x dash, as for the question x dash y dash, this is xy. So parallel axis theorem, I x dash y dash is equal to I xy plus mr square, I xy plus mr square. So that implies I x dash y dash is equal to 2mr square, 2mr square. So 2 into mass is given 1 kg, 1 into r square, r is given 2 meters, so 2 into 2, that is equal to 8, 2 2s are 4, 4 2s are 8 kg meter square, 8 kg meter square, that is option A. Option A is the right option. Next, question number 7. I1 and I2 are the moments of inertia of two circular discs about their central axis perpendicular to their surfaces. Their angular frequencies of rotation are omega 1 and omega 2 respectively. If they are brought in contact face to face with their axis of rotation coinciding with each other, the angular frequency of the composite disc will be. Question number 7. First, circular discs are individual discs. So individually, here you can write L1 is equal to I1 omega 1. And for the second disc, first disc are both are similar. So in this second case, L2 individually, so I2 omega 2. Now these two are placed one over the another face to face. That is, two circular discs are placed one over the another. Two circular discs are placed one over the another. Then final angular momentum, say let us assume that L3. L3 is equal to I1 omega plus I2 omega, or that is equal to I1 plus I2 into omega. Both the discs are rotates with the same angular velocity. According to the law of conservation of angular momentum, it must be, because there is no external torque. External torque in this case is equal to 0 in all the cases. So that we can write total initial angular momentum is equal to total final angular momentum. That is I1 omega 1 plus I2 omega 2 is equal to I1 plus I2 into omega, or final angular velocity of the combination. Omega can be written as I1 omega 1 plus I2 omega 2 divided by I1 plus I2. So that is, as for the options, it is option D, that is fourth option is the right option. Next, question number 8. A ring and a disc have the same mass and roll without slipping with the same linear velocity v. If the rotational kinetic energy of the ring is 8 joule, the kinetic energy of the disc is. So in the question number 8, first of all, for a ring I is equal to mr square. If it is compared with mk square, so k square is equal to r square. So therefore ke1 for the ring half mv square into 1 plus k square by r square, rolling motion. Here k square r square cancel, so 1 plus 1 2, that is equal to 1 by 2 mv square into 2, 2 cancel, so mv square. This mv square is given in the question as 8 joules. Ke is given, it is given in the question. Now for the disc I is equal to mr square by 2. If it is compared with mk square, for convenient here let us assume that ke to mk square, so that implies k square is equal to r square by 2. Therefore ke for disc, ke2 or k kinetic energy for disc is equal to, so half mv square into 1 plus formula is k square by r square is the formula, but k square is equal to r square by 2, so that is equal to half mv square into 1 plus, in the place of k square, now we can write r square by 2 and denominator r square as it is. So r square cancel, in the bracket 1 plus 1 by 2 is there, 1 plus 1 by 2 is nothing but 3 by 2. So that implies kinetic energy for the disc ke2 is equal to half mv square into 3 by 2. That is mv square is given as 8, half into 8 into 3 divided by 2. So 2 2s are 4, 4 2s are 8, 2 3s are 6 is our answer. So that is kinetic energy of the disc is equal to 6 joules. 6 joules is nothing but option B. Option B is the right option. Next, 9th question. The moment of inertia of an object about an axis passing through center of mass is I1, and moment of inertia about an axis parallel to it but not passing through center of mass is I2. Then it is directly parallel axis theorem. 9th question solution is according to parallel axis theorem. We can write it as I2 is equal to I1 plus mr square. So automatically here I2 is greater than I1. So option A is the right option. I2 is always greater than I1. Next, 10th question. The ratio of the radii of gyration of a circular disc about a tangential axis in the plane of the disc and of a circular ring of the same radius about a tangential axis in the plane of the ring is. So in this case, first of all, circular disc, and in the second case is ring. 10th A, disc. For disc, first I about its own axis, mr square by 2, about any diameter for circular disc moment of inertia id is equal to mr square by 4. Now the question is parallel to diameter, tangent parallel to diameter, this is. So therefore according to I for disk, let us assume that I1 according to parallel axis theorem, so mr square by 4 plus mr square, that is equal to 5 divided by 4 mr square, 5 divided by 4 mr square. In this case, if it is compared with say I1 is equal to m k1 square, then k1 square is equal to 5 by 4 r square, or k1 is equal to root 5 by 2 into r. Then circular ring, next one. For a circular ring, original axis I is equal to mr square, about any diameter moment of inertia is mr square by 2. So therefore circular ring about any diameter and parallel tangential axis. Tangential axis, say here according to parallel axis theorem, mr square by 2 plus mr square. So that is equal to 3 by 2 mr square, 3 by 2 mr square. So when it is compared with I2 is equal to mk2 square, then k2 square is equal to 3 by 2 r square, or k2 is equal to, so root of 3 by 2 into r. Now the question is, what is k1 by k2? Therefore k1 divided by k2 is equal to, k1 is root 5 into r by 2 and 1 by k2. 1 by k2 can be written as square root of 2 by 3 into r. R cancel. Root 2 by 2 can be written as, so root 5 divided by here root 2 into root 3. So that is equal to root 5 by root 6 is our answer. So root 5 by root 6. Root 5 is to root 6, that is option D. Option D is the right option. Question number 11. Point masses 1, 2, 3 and 4 kg are lying at the point 0, 0, 0 and 2, 0, 0 and 0, 3, 0 and minus 2, 0 respectively. The moment of inertia of this system about x-axis will be. For 11th question, first it is always suggestible to draw the diagram whenever it is possible as for the question. See, 1 kg mass is at origin. Here 1 kg mass is at origin and 2 kg mass is on y-axis. 2, 0, 0, here 2 kg mass. And 3 kg mass. 3 kg mass is on y-axis. So 0, 3, 0, it is 3 kg mass. And 4 kg mass is in the third quadrant, that is minus 2, 0. Here 4 kg mass. Then net moment of inertia of the 4 particle system, that is I is equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus I4, that is equal to I1 is here origin about x-axis, asking about x-axis. X-axis or y-axis 1 kg mass is at 0, so 0 square plus for I2 2 kg mass is on x-axis, about x-axis means it is also 0, so 2 into 0 square plus 3 kg mass. So 3 kg mass is on y-axis, from the x-axis it is at a distance 3 meters. So therefore r is equal to 3, r square is 3 square plus fourth one is 4 into minus 2 whole square. 4 kg mass is at a distance of minus 2 meters from x-axis. So therefore here 0 plus 27 plus 4 4 is 16. So our answer is 43 kg meter square. That is option A is the right option. Next, question number 12. The angle turned by a body undergoing circular motion depends on time as theta is equal to theta naught plus theta 1 into t plus theta 2 into t square. Then angular acceleration of the body is, angular acceleration of the body is, say for 12th question, theta is given, so theta naught plus theta 1 into t plus theta 2 into t is given. Asking to find out angular acceleration. Angular acceleration. So first of all, angular displacement is given. So we can write angular velocity d omega. Omega is equal to d theta by dt. Differentiation. Here theta naught is constant, so 0. Differentiation of any constant will get 0, and d by dt of theta 1 into t, that is theta 1 plus d by dt of theta 2, here t square is given in the question, so 2 theta 2 into t, theta 2 constant, d by dt of t square is 2t. Then again differentiate, because we want alpha, angular acceleration alpha is equal to d omega by dt. So first term is already becomes 0, second term now becomes 0 because there is no t time term here. So in the second 2 theta constant, dt by dt is equal to 1. So therefore our answer alpha is equal to 2 theta 2. So option D is the right option. Next, question number 13. What is the torque of the force F bar is equal to, see vector forms is given. So 13th question, F bar is given 2i cap minus 3j cap plus 4k cap. 2i cap minus 3j cap plus 4k cap, and r bar is equal to, acting on the point r bar is equal to 3i 2j plus 3k. So 3i cap plus 2j cap plus 3k cap. About the origin, asking to find out the torque. So torque is a cross product of position vector and force vector. So cross product we can use for the matrices method to find out the cross product of two vectors. So here in the first row, i cap, j cap and k cap. Second row, coefficients of r bar. Coefficients of r bar are 3, 2, 3, and coefficients of I, j, k in the second vector, that is 2, minus 3 and 4. So that implies I determinants, I into I row, I column if we neglect, remaining 2 4 is 8, minus of minus 9, minus j. So j column, j row if we neglect, 3 4 is 12, minus 2 3 is 6, plus k cap into k column, k row if we neglect, 3 3 is 9, minus 9, 3 into minus 3, minus 2 2 is 4. So that is equal to, here 8 plus 9 is 17, 17 into I cap, 12 minus 6 minus 6 j cap, plus minus 9 minus 4 minus 13. So not plus here, minus 13 into k cap is the answer. So tau bar torque is equal to 17 I cap minus 6 j cap minus 13 k cap. That is option D is the right option. Yes, question number 13. What is the torque of the force F bar is equal to 2 I cap minus 3 j cap plus 4 k cap Newton acting on the point R bar is equal to 3 I cap plus 2 J cap plus 3 K cap meter about the origin. So here torque is nothing but question number 13. So tau bar is equal to R bar cross F bar. So cross product always we should explain in the form of that is matrices method. So you can take in the first row I cap, J cap, K cap and first vector coefficients. R bar coefficients 3, 2, 3 and next second vector coefficients are 2, minus 3, 4. 2, minus 3, 4. So that is equal to I into I row, I column if we neglect 2 into 4, 2 4s are 8 minus of minus 9. This is for I and J into J column, J row if we neglect 3 4s are 12 minus 2 3s are 6 minus K cap into K column, K row if we neglect 3 into minus 3 minus 9 minus 2 2s are 4. So that is equal to 8 minus of minus 9 is plus 9, 8 plus 9 17. So 17 into I cap minus 12 minus 6 6 outside minus is there. So minus 6 J cap and here minus 9 minus 4 minus 13 plus K minus 13 into plus K that is minus K minus into minus plus. So that is equal to 13 sorry here is the formula plus K, so that finally we will get minus 13 into K cap. So this is the answer. Tau bar is equal to 17 I cap minus 6 J cap minus 13 K cap. That is as per our options, option D is the right option. Next 14th question. The instantaneous angular position of a point on a rotating wheel is given by the equation theta in terms of t is equal to 2t cube minus 6t square. The torque on the wheel becomes 0 at the 14th question. Theta is given, angular displacement is given in terms of t. So 2t cube minus 6t square is given. That is given equation. Asked to find out the torque on the wheel becomes 0 at. See, first we can differentiate with respect to time. We will get angular velocity. Omega is equal to d theta by dt. By differentiating 2 into 3t whole square minus 6 into 2t. Or that is equal to 6t square minus 12t, that is omega. Again differentiating with respect to time, we will get angular acceleration. d omega by dt is angular acceleration. So that here 6 into 2t minus 12 into dt by dt cancel. So that is equal to 12t minus 12 alpha. Our question is, at what time torque becomes 0? So torque is equal to, we know that torque tau is equal to I alpha. Tau should be 0 only when alpha should be 0, because I moment of inertia is never be 0. So that to have 0 torque, alpha must be equal to 0. So to get or to have torque is equal to 0, alpha must be equal to 0. Alpha is nothing but 12t minus 12, that is 12t minus 12 is equal to 0, or that implies 12t is equal to 12 cancel both sides. So t is equal to 1 second. Our answer is t is equal to 1 second. So as for the options, first option A is the right option for this question. Question number 15. A wheel has angular acceleration of 3 radian per second square and an initial angular speed of 2 radian per second. In a time of 2 seconds, it has rotated through an angle of. See here, initial, according to the formula in translatory motion, S is equal to ut plus half at square. If that equation is applied for rotational motion, we will get the equation for 15th question. Theta is the angular displacement. Theta is equal to initial angular velocity omega naught into t plus half into alpha t square. It is similar to S is equal to ut plus half at square equation. Now by substituting, all values are given here. Omega naught is given 2, time is also given 2. So half into alpha is given 3 radians per second square. So t 2 into 2, 1 2 cancel here, that is 2 into 2 4, 6, so that our answer is 10 radians. 10 radians is the answer, that is option A. Option A is the right option. Next, 16th question. A thin wire of mass capital M and length capital L is bent to form a circular ring. The moment of inertia of this ring about its axis is. So in 16th question, a thin wire of length L is bent in the form of a circle. A thin wire of length L, mass M, bent in the form of a circle. So when it is bent in the form of a circle, length of the wire now becomes 2 pi r. So from this, r is equal to L divided by 2 pi. And for the circular ring about its own axis, I is equal to mr square is the formula. So m into L by 2 pi whole square. M into L by 2 pi whole square, or I can be written as m L square divided by 4 pi square is the answer. That is option A is the right option. Next, 17th question. A thin uniform rod of length L and mass M is swinging freely about a horizontal axis passing through its end. Its maximum angular speed is omega. Its center of mass rises to a maximum height of. See, a thin uniform rod is rotating about the horizontal axis. See here, about the horizontal axis, if the rod is moving like this in the upward direction, so center of mass of the rod rises to what height? That is the question. Here, in case of rotational motion, rotational kinetic energy must be equal to potential energy when the body or center of mass rises to a certain height. So that is, in this case, potential energy while rising the rod, mgh is equal to half into I into omega square, and I is equal to a thin rod, moment of inertia of a thin rod about an axis passing through one end. I explained already. So half into ml square into omega square. Then here both sides, here mgh, either you can take small m or same rod, so here mm cancel. GH is equal to L square omega square divided by 6, or H is equal to L square omega square divided by 6 into G. That is option D is the right option. Next, 18th question. A body is in pure rotation. The linear speed v of a particle at a distance small r from the axis and the angular velocity omega is the of the body are related as omega is equal to v by r. Then see, observe the options here. First option, omega is directly proportional to 1 by r. Second option, omega is directly proportional to r. Omega is independent of r. Third option. Fourth option is omega is directly proportional to v. Here omega is independent of radius or distance from the axis. So that option C is the right option. It is theory based question. And next, 19th question. A disc of mass 4 kg and radius 0.2 meters makes 20 revolutions per second. about an axis passing through its center and perpendicular to the plane of the disk. The angular momentum of the disk is approximately equal to, see, disk mass is given here, circular disk. Axis is most important, about an axis passing through its center and perpendicular to the plane. So general formula. 19th one, first of all you can find out moment of inertia before we going to find out L value, angular momentum. For circular disk, I is equal to mr square by 2. First we should find out this I, or angular momentum L is equal to I omega. So that is equal to mr square by 2 into 2 pi f. Omega is 2 pi f. F is given as 20. So that can write continuation here. That implies L is equal to mass is given in question number 19. Mass is given 4 into R is given 0.2. So 0.2 into 0.2 divided by 2 into 2 into pi value we can take it as 3.14, that is 22 by 7, and F is given 20 in the question. So here 2 cancel, that implies L is 4 2 is 8, 8 2 is 16. So 0.16 into 3.14 into 20, or this can be written as, say, 16 2 is 32, but 20 is there. So 3.2 into 3.14. Approximately 3 3 is 9, but more than 3 is there both sides. So approximately we can take it as 10 kg meter square per second. 10 kg meter square per second is our answer. That is option A is the right option. Next, question number 20. A thin wire of length capital L and uniform linear mass density rho is bent into a circular loop of loop with center at O as shown. The moment of inertia of the loop about the axis x dash is. See, observe the diagram for question number 20. Along a wire of length L is bent in the form of a circle, and here x dash axis is given. What is the moment of inertia about this circular ring about an axis x dash? In that in the question, linear mass density is given. Linear mass density is nothing but mass per unit length. Mass per unit length, and L, mass per unit length is rho. L length is given L, so that L into rho is the total mass. M is equal to L into rho, where rho is the mass per unit length, and L, long wire bent into the form of a circle of radius r. So that L is equal to 2 pi r, that implies r is equal to L divided by 2 pi. Now we can write the, this is above x dash is the x dash is parallel to diameter. So therefore here the moment of inertia of the loop about axis x dash is, first I for the circular ring mr square about any diameter, so mr square by 2, and tangent to the diameter, about tangent and tangent parallel to the diameter. You can write it as, so mr square by 2 according to parallel axis theorem. So mr square, that is equal to 3 by 2 mr square is our formula. About this is x dash. So that implies I x dash is equal to, so 3 by 2 into, what is m here? L into rho into r square is L by 2 pi whole square. So that is equal to L into L square, L cube rho, and here 2 pi whole square is 4 pi square, 4 into 2 8. So that total answer is 3 rho L cube divided by 8 pi square is our answer. That is option D. Option D is the right option. Next, question number 21. Figures show overhead views of 3 structures on each of which 3 forces act. The directions of force are shown. if the magnitudes of the forces are adjusted properly, which structure can be in a stable equilibrium? See, observe the three diagrams A, B, C are given in the question. By observing this, option A is the right option. Here, stable, which structure can be in a stable equilibrium? So, the first diagram, A diagram is given here. Here one force is given, say let us assume that F, and here one force is given F, and this is another force is given. So, either F1, F2 and here F3. If F3 can be resolved into components here, so F3 sin theta and it is F3 cos theta. By suitably adjusting the three forces F1, F2, F3, so first this diagram is only in stable equilibrium. So, therefore, option A is the right option. And next, question number 22. The z component of a angular momentum of a particle whose position vector is r bar with components x, y and z, and linear momentum is p bar with components px, py and pz is z component of angular momentum. So, 22nd question, L bar is equal to r bar cross p bar. So, cross product is vector matrices method, I, j, k in the first row, r position vector r bar with components x, y, z, and p bar components px, py, pz. So, z component only, we want only z component. So, z component whatever it may be, so L bar is equal to I minus j, we don't want this, they are asking only z component, is k coefficient only we want as per the question. So, when k column, k row are neglected, x into py minus y into px is the answer. So, therefore, our answer is z component is x into py minus y into px is the z component of L, but here in the question options are missing, but anyway this is the right answer. Yes, thank you very much students. So, I took actually two classes. In the last class I explained center of mass, today remaining topics, but anyway two topics are related to the same chapter, system of rotational dynamics, very important chapter for any kind of numerical examinations point of view. Thank you very much.